श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णा प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतस्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Welcome to the study of Bhagavad Gita. We are studying the 11th chapter, the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, the vision of the universal form of Sri Krishna, of the Lord. In the previous verses, last week we studied, Arjuna is praising Sri Krishna as Lokasya Pita, you are the father of this world. Chara acharasya, that means both moving and unmoving. And he is Pujya, that is, the Lord is the one to be worshipped, respected and worshipped. You are the Guru, Gariyan, you are the greatest, Gariyan. Natvat samostyabhyadikah kutonyah. There is nobody else who is greater than you in all the three worlds. Apratima prabhava. Your prabhava, that means your strength or valor, is uncomparable. Nobody can come anywhere near to you. Thus, Sri Arjuna reflects his heart's feelings towards Sri Krishna. And then in the next verse, he submits himself. In spiritual life, this is one thing. First is trying to understand what I am going to take up, what kind of guru I am going to give my life to. And then once I am convinced that this is the path that I want to adopt, not blindly but by reasoning, once you adopt a person or a guide, then you go whole hog towards it, full length. Therefore, in the next verse, Arjuna is talking about the next step that a spiritual aspirant must take. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam. So the two steps he is talking about. Pranamya, pranama, that means you bow down, bow low before the person whom you revere, respect. And then pranidhaya, nidhaya means to lie down. Pranidhaya, that means fully subjugate yourself, fully surrender yourself. First, with humility, you approach the Guru or the Divine. Bow down, bow low, no more with raised head, but with the head bent down. And after that, you prostrate. Most of the cultures have this, especially the Eastern cultures, and I mentioned to you last time, Islam also has two types of subjugation or submission, ruku and sujud. That is bowing down and then to prostrate. And then in Japanese culture as well, we have ojiki and zarai. That is lowering the head and then lowering while kneeling. So they don't prostrate because of the weather conditions, it may be cold and all that. So, but in Indian tradition, we fall flat at the feet of the Guru or at the feet of the Lord. That is the Ashtanga, the 8 limbs, touching all the 8 limbs of our body from the head to the toes. It should touch the ground, and so that you are completely submitting yourself to the Divine. It's no more me, it is thou. That is the idea. So, first of all, one becomes humble by bowing down or bowing lower. So, when we become humble, then we submit ourselves to the Divine. With the raised head, we cannot do that. And then we give up our ego completely and let the Divine do whatever the Divine wants us to do. So we fall flat onto the ground. We become one with the earth, so to say, one with the earth. Our humility is complete. So he says, Tasmat pranamya kayam pranidhaya, having prostrated. And then what do? Prasadaye. Afterwards, you rise. If you, especially those who are conversant with the South Indian culture, they will first kneel down, bow their head, and then they will lie prostrate. And then after getting up, again kneel down and fold your hands or open up your hands and ask for prasada. That means seek the grace of the Divine. So the food that we get is a prasada. That means it's the grace that is given by the Divine. So we ask for forgiveness, or we ask for whatever we need in life, or if we are highly spiritual, then we ask only for the grace of the divine so that we become one with the divine. So pranidhaya prasadaye tvam aham isham idyam. You are the idya, you are the only thing that has to be praised. Pita iva putrasya sakha iva sakyuh priyaha priyaya rahasi deva sodhum. You are all forgiving, all forbearing. Sodhum means bearing, forbearing. You are the one who forgives everything and bears everything with patience. That is the idea. How? Pita iva putrasya. Just like a parent. Pita can here does not just mean the father, but also a mother. So the parent. Pita iva putrasya, with a child, the way the parent behaves. The child may make mistakes, but the father or the mother both they forgive and just egg on, ask you to go forward, leave the past behind and go onward. Pita iva putrasya. And then sakha iva sakyuh. Just like a friend who is who helps one in need. A friend in need is a friend indeed. So this friend also is one who will be with you at all times. Sakha iva sakyuh. And priyaya, just like a lover is fond of the beloved and is with him or her for all time to come. So in the same way, he says, you are the one who can pardon me and then take me as your very own. That is the idea given in this verse 44th verse. Then in the 45th verse, Arjuna again talks about the feelings that he is having right now. Adrishtapurvam rishitosmi drishtva bhayena cha pravyatitam manomi tadeva me darshaya deva rupam prasita devesha jagannivasa. Seeing this form unseen before, I am overjoyed, but my mind is also perturbed with fear. Reveal to me that other familiar form of thine, and be gracious unto me, O thou God of all gods, and the indwelling spirit of all the world. Arjuna seems to be assailed by the three types of moods. Very typical of most of us, or all of us, almost. So first is joy. He beholds the divine form, and which he has never seen before, adrishtapurvam, that which he has not seen before, and then he is overjoyed by it. If you see something that you have not seen before, and it fills you with great joy. That is one feeling. And the other is fear. If you are seeing something which you have not seen before but which is terrible, then you feel the fear also. And the third mood that he has is his whole being is perturbed, and he is unable to, he is not sure whether he has to accept this form or not, whether he has to accept what he is seeing. This doubt is still in one's mind. See, as long as you are getting something from somebody, there is always some doubt. But when it comes from within you, then you don't have any doubt. So here he says fear. Even a hero like Arjuna, who was one of the greatest of all warriors in those days, even he has fear, because his mind is not yet 100% prepared to accept reality as it is. See, this acceptance of reality is a very important thing in all of our lives. We are all afraid. We get this sense of fear because we are unable to cope with what we experience, isn't it? We are unable to cope with what we are experiencing, and therefore we have this fear. So here we bring in the concept of the form of the Divine Mother Kali. Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Kali for a particular reason. He wanted to remove the fear in the hearts of people, especially people in India in those days who were subjugated by foreign rule for a very long time, because they had this terrible fear in their own selves because of underestimation of their value. Therefore, he had to bring in this concept of Kali. Kali is one who transcends Kala. Kala means time. Kala also means death. Time, one who transcends. If you see the imagery of Dakshina Kali, you will see that Shiva, who is none but the destructor, is lying at the feet of the divine, the mother Kali. That means she transcends Kala or time. She transcends Kala, time, death. So in Shankaracharya, in one of his beautiful compositions, he says, Kalo Jagat Bhakshaka. This time devours everything, devours the whole universe. So how can we escape this devouring? That means destruction. How can we escape this destruction? Destruction here, that can only be overcome by taking refuge at the feet of the divine in the form of mother. What she does is she destroys the egocentric consciousness, me, I. This egocentric consciousness is being restored. When we cling on to our egos, little egos, then we are afraid to face the inevitable, to face, in this case, death itself. Arjuna was afraid to face Kala or death. All great saints have gone through this phase of trying to face, trying to accept this the death or the conquering of the fear. All religious, all truly worthy religious seekers and also great saints. In the life of in the life of Swami Vivekananda, we see this. Swami Vivekananda, Narendranath, was a member of the Brahmo Samaj. Brahmo Samaj could be termed as a mixture of both Hinduism as well as Christianity. They took some elements from Christianity and took some from Hinduism. They adopted a unique method. So according to that, you cannot worship any form of the divine, but you can meditate on the glories of the divine, but you cannot accept or bow down in front of any image or any picture. So when Narendranath used to come to Dakshineshwar, he used to go straight to the room where Sri Ramakrishna lived. He would never go and bow down in front of the deities there. In fact, later when Rakhal Swami Brahmananda, who was also a member of the Brahmo Samaj, he was seen by Narendranath going and bowing down to Mother Kali. He took him to task and said, "Why are you doing this? You should not do this. You are a member of the Brahmo Samaj, and we believe that God has no form, and therefore you should not bow down." That apart. So Narendranath also did not accept Kali. In fact, it took him a long time to accept this form of Kali. So when he went on pestering Sri Ramakrishna to give him the ultimate experience of God consciousness, Sri Ramakrishna first avoids it. Then when he went on insisting, and he touches his chest, and immediately Narendranath starts experiencing the divine consciousness. He sees everything filled with consciousness. He goes to his house, he is unable to eat because the food that he eats is also full of consciousness. Everything, the road and the road divider, everything is full of consciousness. And his exams were approaching and he could not study also properly. So after a couple of days, he felt desperate and he runs back to Sri Ramakrishna. And he says, I have my father, I have my mother. Sorry, I have my mother. At that time his father had just passed away. I have my mother, I have my brothers, and I have to take care of them. So make me normal. That is, he was clinging on to his ego as Narendranath. He was clinging on to his little ego as Narendranath. And as a result, he could not hold on to this divine experience. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna said, I told you that you are not yet ready, but you went on insisting, all right, you will become normal again. And then he said, I will lock this experience for you, and then when it is time for you, then it will be open, and then you will merge in that oneness. So, in later days, Swami Vivekananda used to say to one of his disciples, I think Mary Hale, if I am not wrong, there he writes in a letter to her, how I used to hate Kali and her ways. And he continues, that was the ground of my 6 years fight, that I would not accept her. But at last I had to accept her. And he further says, she made a slave of me. She made a slave of me. So this spiritual experience will be effective or will stay with us for longer period only when we are ready for it. So it is Swami Tapasyanandaji in his commentary on this verse. He says that spiritual experience can be compared to a high volt electricity. A high voltage electricity, suppose if it is made to pass through a 240 volts device, then what will happen? The device will burn out or it will get spoiled. So our gross body as well as the subtle body must be prepared to withstand these experiences. Then only will it become effective, will it become long lasting. So he says, I am afraid, bhayena cha pravyatitam manomi. And therefore he says, tadeva me darshaya deva rupam reveal to me that other form, familiar form of thine. Which is the other form? He will come to it in the next verse. And be gracious unto me, prasida devesha jagan nivasa. So fear is a great, fear plays a great role in all our lives. But when we approach God with love in our hearts, not with fear in our hearts, slowly and slowly that fear or that uncertainty, so uncertainty is also a kind of fear, that uncertainty will completely be erased from our system, as it were. Therefore he says, Tad eva me darshayadeva rupam. Now still I have this kind of fear within me, but show me the other form so that I can become pacified, so that my heart is not trembling anymore. Kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichchami tvam drashtumaham tathaiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishvamurte. He says, I desire to see Kiritinam Gadinam Chakrahastam Ichchami. I desire to see as what? As before, crowned with a diadem and holding a mace and discus in hand. Kiriti means the crown, and holding a mace and discus in hand. And then he says, deemed to assume that four-armed shape, tena eva rupena chaturbhujena, the four-armed shape, O thou of 1,000 arms and of the universal form. Here he had shown Arjuna his 1,000-armed myriad forms, 1,000-armed form. Therefore he says, no, it makes my heart jump with fear. So you, instead of showing me with so many arms and so many faces, just show me yourself with one face but with 4 hands. So it shows that Arjuna was meditating upon Lord Vishnu all this time. Vishnu as having 4 arms. So he says, Ichchami, I desire to see a form that is less terrible. Tena eva rupena chaturbhujena. Show me that form which has 4 arms only. Ramanujacharya, commenting upon this verse, he says that Sri Krishna's 2-handed form, that is as a human form, was mainly exhibited in the Vrindavan Leela, when he was in Vrindavan, when he was taken away from the prison, and when he was in Vrindavan. He grew up in Gokula in Vrindavan. According to Bhagavatam, when Sri Krishna was born, he was born with 4 arms, Chaturbhuja. He revealed himself as the 4-armed person. But then Vasudeva, in his prayers, he prays to the Lord and says, O Lord, please remove the other 2 arms, that is, reveal yourself only with 2 arms. Otherwise, if Kamsa sees you with 4 arms, he will immediately kill you. See, on the one hand, he is very happy to see Sri Krishna. This is double emotions. He is very happy to see Vishnu born to him. But on the other hand, the soft corner of his heart says, no, you are my child. I do not want to see you being destroyed. See, mind plays different games. Even when the Lord comes in front of you, you sometimes lose yourself and you think that He is your child. Therefore, He says He prays to Vishnu, please remove the two other arms and then become like a normal child with two arms. So the philosophical interpretation of the four arms is also given in the Vishnu Sahasranama by a commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranama by Sri Shankaracharya. There he says that the Atman, the self, enjoys the world with four arms or four parts, limbs. That is Manas, Buddhi, Chitta and Ahankara. Manas is mind, Buddhi is the intellect, and the Chitta is the stuff or the mind stuff. Chitta also can be termed as consciousness, and then Ahankara, that means the ego. We work with these four limbs, as it were, that is, these four parts. All of us, every being has these four parts. We have the mind, we have the buddhi, the intellect, and we also have the consciousness, chitta, means the feelings, etc. And then we have ahankara. I am doing it, I am enjoying it, I am experiencing it. So this Chaturbhuja also means the four. So they are interpreting on this. Shankaracharya says that the manas, the mind, is the chakra or the disc that Vishnu is having in his one finger is the mind. Why? Because we see the mind is always rotating, continuously it is rotating. This disc is always rotating. And then the buddhi or the mace is the mace is the buddhi or the intellect. Sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha nischayatmika buddhihi. Nischayatmika, because with that we make certain that means certain punishment has to be given, certain decisions has to be taken. So it is like the mace or a weapon, you can say any weapon. With that you use your buddhi and you conduct your activities in life. And then the third is the chakra, gada, then shankha and padma. Shankha is the conch or conch, whatever you say. It is the ahankara. See, conch is full of sound and we are always making sound. I, me, all the time. We are making the sound. So we are proclaiming ourselves to the world with the help of the conch. That was the tradition in olden days. Even now they blow the bugle before they go to the war or before they go to the drill. They blow the bugle. So it is equated with the shankha or the conch. And then we have the padma. Padma is the lotus, the flower, lotus flower. So it is equated with the chitta. The chitta is the consciousness is ever pure. It is always existent with us. It is always there. But we throw it, or the consciousness get merged in mind, the water of the mind, and it becomes, the world becomes a miserable place for us. Therefore, he says these four weapons, we all of us have got these four weapons with which we interact with the world, weapons or tools with which we interact with the world. All these have got philosophical significance. Therefore, he says, Maya kiritinam gadinam chakrahastam ichchami tvam drashtum aham tathaiva tenaiva rupena chaturbhujena. I want to see that form of yours with 4 arms. Sahasra baho. I know you have got thousands of arms, but I don't want all the thousands of forms right now. Just show me your 4 arms so that it is less fearful, less scary. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now Sri Krishna speaks. Maya prasannena tavarjunedam rupam param darshitam yogat tejomayam vishvamanantamadyam yanme tvadanyena nadrishtapurvam. Maya prasannena tava arjunedam arjuna idam rupam param darshitam atma yogat. Out of my grace, Maya prasannena, that means out of my grace, I have by my divine power, Atma Yoga, by my divine power, I have darshitam, I have revealed, I have shown to you, Rupam darshitam, I have shown to you this form, transcendent form of mine. Tejomayam Vishwam Anantamadyam. What kind of a form is that? Tejomayam, full of resplendence, full of light. Tejomayam Vishwam Anantam Adyam. Anantam means infinite, that which does not have any end at all, na anta. And Vishwam Anantam Adyam, this is ancient. It has been there for a very, very long time. I mean, it has always been there. That is the idea. Yanme tvat anyena na drishtapurvam. Anyena, nobody else has beheld this form of mine. Na drishtapurvam. Nobody has seen it before. So, Sri Krishna is trying to impress upon Arjuna that all the glories of the world belongs to him. He is in everything. When you water the root, all the branches will be watered. In the same way, when the divine is experienced, then everything gets experienced. That's why the famous Upanishadic saying says that when you see Brahman, you know everything. By knowing Brahman, you know everything. So here he says, by seeing me, everything else becomes known to you. Arjuna asks, well, if that is so, if it is you who is everywhere, then show me your power and make it possible for me to realize this akshara, that means this form of yours or this glory of yours. Always let me see this or behold this form of yours always. So Bhagavan shows his own form here to convince Arjuna that indeed he is everywhere. He says here, Darshitam Atma Yogat, I am showing it to you. Atma Yogat, by my power, I am showing it to you. See, showing by somebody else and seeing it by one's own effort are two different things. See, somebody gives you some money as a free gift and you make use of it, but you would not know how much of value it carries. But if you earn it by the sweat of your own brow, then you will know the value of it. So that is why in spiritual life we get lot of experiences, or we see certain things without much of our effort. By the grace of the Guru or by the grace of the Divine, we do experience certain things, but they do not last longer. Many a times we hear, or I have also seen people going into great ecstasy and all of that by the grace of their Guru and by the grace of the Divine. It happens, but that does not reflect in their life afterwards. They see certain things and then people will say, oh, what a holy person this person is. But after some time you will see that person has gone down, has fallen down. So that happens because such an experience is only momentary, which has been given to a person for a very temporary period of time, short period of time. But if that experience has been received or has been earned by one's own self, by a lot of inner struggle, spiritual struggle, then it will remain with you forever. When after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, some of the young disciples, that is Narendranath and a few others, they decided that they would establish a monastery and live away from their families. Then some of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, householder disciples, came and told him, what? You have already had, almost all of those youngsters had some kind of experience of samadhi, maybe Savikalpa Samadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Every one of them had some kind of a samadhi experience. So they said, well, you have already had the experience. You've also seen you have also had visions of the Divine. So why not go back to the world and lead a normal householder's life? Why do you want to give up everything and lead a very difficult life? So then Swami Vivekananda said, well, Sri Ramakrishna gave it to us. That means we just received it from him. But that is not enough. We want to practice spiritual life. We want to earn it by our self-effort. When we have it by our own effort, then we can value it properly, and that it will stay with us forever. It can be never taken away. If somebody gives something to you, and then it can also be taken away by that person or by somebody else. But if it is something which I have it, I own it, which I get it from my own experience, then nobody can take it away. So here he says, Maya prasannena tavajana. Out of my grace, I have by my divine power revealed to you this transcendent form of mine. And he is Maya prasannena. Another word that he uses is, it is by my grace that you have received it. But Arjuna's mind has not yet become prasanna. That means his mind has not yet become graceful. In one of the other verses in the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says, Raga Dvesha Viyuktaistu Vishayan indriyais charan atmavashyair videyatma prasadam adhigacchati. When will you have total prasada, that means total peace of mind? When raga, hatred, raga is attachment, and hatred, dvesha, viyukta. When you get rid of them. Vishayan indriyais charan, those of your senses are always traveling amongst the senses. When it comes under control, atma vashya, when it comes under your own control, vidheyi atma, when it becomes obedient to you, when the senses become obedient to you, when the mind becomes obedient to you, then only prasadam, then only the real peace will come to you. The real joy will come to you only when that happens. Real prasada is when I have my own blessing. Here blessing means total control over one's own self. So there is what is called as temporary purification, and the other thing is called permanent purification. See, when we, for example, every day, whenever you go to your shrine and you worship, either do japam or you perform certain rituals and all that, you purify yourself. You purify yourself temporarily. Again, we go out, soil ourselves with the dealing with the world, and then again we have to come back, and then again we have to sit and purify ourselves. But if our mind becomes so clean, so pure, that nothing else can come and sully us, nothing can soil us, then there is no problem. You go out into the world and then God is there also. Your mind is pure, your mind is clean over there also. So here, raga dvesha viyukta, that means one should try to get rid of these two things. That means raga is attachment to one's own self, attachment to the world always. And then dvesha means hatred. It's one of the great enemies in our life. So he says, in the nadrishtapurvam, he says, you have not seen this form of mine that I am showing you. Never before has this form that I have shown you, rather, has never been seen earlier. In the Bhagavatam, when we study the Bhagavatam, we find that Sri Krishna reveals himself, called self-revelation, in four times. The first was when Yashoda, his foster mother, Yashoda asks him to open his mouth because he had eaten some dirt, and therefore he takes it and she says, open your mouth and show what you have eaten. Anyway, so he opens his mouth. Of course, one version is the dirt, the other one is stealing some butter from others and eating it. So he opens his mouth, and then there Yashoda sees the whole universe. The whole universe in Sri Krishna's mouth. And then the second one is when he kills Kamsa, the tyrant uncle whom he had to kill. At that time he shows his form. And then in the third time he shows his form to Duryodhana and others when he goes as an emissary, as an ambassador to the court of the Kauravas to stop the war. He goes there and they don't want to listen to him, and there he reveals that he is the divine. Yet those people were not ready to accept him because their hearts were not pure, it was not clean, so they could not accept him. Now in the fourth instance, he has revealed his real true form to Arjuna, which is much greater form than what he had shown to the on the three other earlier occasions. So he says, Tejomayam na drishtapurvam. So through this form, Vishwarupa, universal form, Sri Krishna demonstrates to the whole world that the universe is his own form. The universe is nothing but himself. See, when we perform our work with this attitude, when we perform our duties with this attitude, that what we are doing is nothing but giving back to the Lord what really belongs to Him. We belong to the Divine. The world belongs to the Divine. God has given us this birth, and we have to give back to the Lord what we receive from the Divine. This is almost the very basis of Karma Yoga itself. In the philosophy of Karma Yoga, you just give back to either the nature or to the Divine whatever we receive. We don't hold back anything to ourselves and say this is mine and this must become mine only. No, it comes from the Divine and it goes back to the Divine. In Bengali there is a saying, Ganga Jole Ganga Puja. There is a particular day in a year where the Mother Ganges is worshipped as the Divine Mother. So with what do you worship the Mother Ganga? With her own water. We take the water from the Ganges and then we pour it back to the Ganges and say, Mother, you have given us this water and it goes back to you. In the same way, whatever we get, this body or this universe that we live in, everything belongs to the Divine ultimately. So through this Vishwarupa Darshana, Arjuna is shown by Sri Krishna that he is in and through everything and he is everywhere. With this thought, we will stop here, and next Sunday we will give it a break because of the Easter. Some of us will not be here, therefore we will give a break next Sunday. Take it up after that. Shantakaram bhujagashayanam padmanabham suresham Vishwadharam gaganasatrisham meghavarnam shubhangam Lakshmikantam kamalanayanam yogiradyanagamyam Vande Vishnum bhavabhayaharam sarvalokaikanaatham. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamstu.